Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another episode of the strategy series. Been a little while since we did one of these. I mean, there hasn't really been any paper events recently, as you guys all know. But there is a problem deck out there that I feel like I want to address with the community, and that is Veg X. So we're going to be talking about Veg X in today's video. We're going to talk about ways to counter it. Maybe an overdue video, but hopefully this helps you get ready for Veg X, especially now that stores are opening back up and we are getting kind of rolling back into our local game stores. Veg X will be legal. Veg X will be at full power come set 10. So gonna want to keep all those things in mind as we're getting ready. There are ways to beat it. It is very annoying, but we'll talk about that in the video. Guys, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss a video. If you want to help support the channel, there are many free ways to do that during these trying times. You can always like the video, maybe share the video, maybe watch an ad. And if you want to buy or pre-order any of the cards you see in today's video to help you beat Veg X, you can definitely use my link in the description to TCG Player. Really helps out a lot. Really appreciate each and every one of you guys that does that for me. That being said, let's get started. So first, before we talk about beating Veg X, we gotta talk about what it does. So what is Veg X? Veg X is an ultra aggro deck. It is very fast. The reason why it's so fast, why it's so aggressive, which I don't really think it was designed to be this way purposefully, but it free casts so many cards. There are 3 cards in the structure deck that come in it, so you know a lot of the stuff you need is in that structure deck, and they all free cast. Supreme Kai, the Trunks, and the Vegeta Xeno, and then you have the Universe 3 cards on top of that also free cast. Now I feel like Veg X was meant to be a little more of a mid-range deck because it has that Sparking 20 preventing itself from decking out, and they created the bigger Veg X battle cards that are coming out in set 10. But maybe unintentionally, maybe intentionally, who knows, this came out as a super fast aggro rush deck because of how fast it is. So with that being said, it is very reminiscent of Storm. It spams a board a lot like Storm. Sometimes battle cards are a bit bigger, sometimes its boards are a bit bigger, but it usually has a lower hand size. Usually seeing Veg X around like 5-6 cards in hand. They do usually play Goku Saiyan Instincts if they have access to the card, so that is something to keep in mind as well. They do have a decent shot against hand control because of that. They can blow their hand up because of that, but those are all things just to consider. I would basically consider it Storm with a bit of a smaller hand. So how are we going to combat that? Well, luckily every color has an option, so we'll talk about that as we go through the video. So Flying Nimbus, one of the most popular anti-aggro cards to ever grace the game. It's weird against Veg X. So, you know, this card came out in set 3. We're coming up on set 10. They probably didn't foresee Unison cards being a thing all the way back then. I mean, it's possible they did, but if they didn't, you know, this card doesn't really stop the Unison attack. So specifically what it says is, if you do so, your opponent can only attack one more time with battle cards for the duration of the turn. So if they're playing around Nimbus, they'll attack with their battle cards. You'll Nimbus because you pretty much have to Nimbus on the first attack to get max value out of it. They'll attack with another battle card. They'll attack with their leader, and they can still attack with their Unison because the Unison and the leader are not affected by Flying Nimbus, and the leader gives the Unison double strike. The Unison can then give itself dual attacks. So that's still a lot of attacks you're going to take even if you Nimbus them, but it's way better to have Nimbus than to not have it, because yeah, you might still have to take a battle card, 2 Unison swings, and a leader swing. That's 5 attacks you'll still have to take under Nimbus, but it's better than having to take 8 attacks or 9 attacks. So having Nimbus is still better than not having it, if that makes sense. Dormant Potential Unleashed, a card coming out in set 10, is obviously a bit more geared towards the set 10 meta because it just says when you use it, your opponent has one more attack for the turn. That's it. It doesn't really say, you know, battle cards, leader cards, Unison cards, whatever. It doesn't stop the first attack, but it does KO up to a cost of 2 or less. And that is pretty good because the Supreme Kais that they free play are 1-drops. They are free 10k combos. So being able to clear 2 of those with Dormant Potential Unleashed is very good. You basically have to deal with the first attack when you use this card, then one more attack after that, and then your opponent's turn is over. And the fact that you can free cast this with a Unison in play is very helpful. So this card is definitely a more upgraded Nimbus. Obviously only green can play it. Nice thing about Nimbus is you can play it no matter what color construction your deck is, as long as it includes yellow. Doesn't matter what your leader is. So kind of the pros and cons there. Now we're talking about Senzu Bean. So some people have been calling Senzu Bean the blue version of Nimbus, like, you know, blue's equivalent, I guess. Blue doesn't really have a card that is able to stop things like Nimbus or like Dormant Potential Unleashed, but this card is still very good against Veg X because it was very good against Storm. And the reason for that is a lot of the attackers in Veg X are 15k or below. So once you get to that, you know, awakened side of your leader and your leader's at 15k, Senzu Bean will nullify a lot of your opponent's attacks. They'll have to combo into them if they want to do damage. Now, it's not the perfect answer because their Viara is still 20k, so you will still have to deal with that if you don't want to take the crit. Their Unison gets higher than 20k for the dual attack double strike, so you will have to deal with that, but you're nullifying the leader attack, you're nullifying the Vegeta Xeno attack, you're nullifying the Nagrishi attack. So there's definitely value in Bean for sure. And one thing I want to mention is there was that Trunks that was spoiled earlier this week. I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's a 3-drop. If you have a Unison, it becomes a 1-drop, and then your opponent can't attack with battle cards greater than the energy cost for the rest of the turn unless they put 2 cards from the hand to the bottom of the deck. That's what the Trunks does, and unfortunately it's not very good against Vegeks. The reason being is it's not live at least until your turn 3, unless you awaken on turn 2 with a Unison. But in that case, if you've taken that much damage by turn 2, you're already in trouble. Now the problem with it is it's not live till turn 3, and by that time, especially if you've went second, your opponent will be going to their 4th energy. Now all their battle cards are pretty much live to attack because they can charge the 4, especially if they see the Trunks coming, and they can attack with other stuff. Vegeta's a 4-drop, VR is a 4-drop, stuff like that. So not a great card, unfortunately. I was pretty hyped on it, but then once I really read it and realized it doesn't really do anything to Vegeks, it is unfortunately not too great. Now we have some more attack floodgaters in green and red. Topo Righteous Aid, you guys all know what this card does by now. Pretty much floodgates the opponent out of attacking. You should definitely play 4 of this in red. I mean, I don't know, last format when I was playing Cooler, I didn't play this card at all in the main deck actually, because there wasn't any super hyper aggressive rush strategy. But now that Vegeks is a thing, if you are playing red, kind of unfortunately because of the price tag, you will need 4 topos. Luckily it is getting reprinted in the summer, so that's pretty nice to look forward to, but it is definitely now a 4 of staple thanks to Vegeks being a thing. Golden Frieza Unison of Malice, this is a good card for green to use as well. Maybe you don't have Dormant Potential Unleashed, maybe you can't play it, whatever the case is. I mean, if you're playing a green leader, I guess you'd have to play it, but you could actually play this Unison in other non-green leaders, which is pretty cool. Like, I'm actually messing with this Unison in an Android 21 deck, so that's a good example for me to throw at you guys. Activate main -2 is what we're here for. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, your opponent can't attack with battle cards unless they choose one of their battle cards with energy cost of 2 or more and place it in the owner's drop area. So it is a very cheap marker effect. Only 2 markers it costs you, so you can play it on turn 2, use the +1, and then the next turn use the -2. That is pretty solid. Again, it doesn't stop the leader attack, doesn't stop the Unison attacks, but it does kind of nullify all their battle card attacks, so that is pretty good. Unfortunately, it is no Topo Righteous Aid, but it is one of the next best things in terms of kind of floodgating your opponent out of attacking. Next up, we're talking about the blue-yellow combination. Zamasu Sacred Disbelief, an amazing card in general, and it is so good against Vegeks. The value you get off this super combo is just unrivaled, and I would highly recommend you play the super combo even if Vegeks wasn't a thing in this format. If you're playing a blue or yellow leader and you don't need, like, if you don't need Beerus Divine Obliterator, or you don't need the Whis red yellow super combo, I would 110% recommend playing Zamasu Sacred Disbelief. It's just that good of a card. So if you don't need a specific super combo for a rival, definitely play Zamasu. But other great things to bring out off Zamasu: Bojack, Resident Agent of Destruction, and Son Goku and hit Supreme Alliance. Bojack, when it comes in, rests another battle card, and then it's a blocker to stop another attack. So that's a 2-card combo stopping 3 attacks. Same thing with Son Goku and hit Supreme Alliance. It is a blocker that restands itself, so in that case you can also stop 3 attacks, which is very good. Now keep in mind, Bojack arrives for yellow and Goku hit arrives for blue. So let's say you're playing mono blue, or let's say you're playing mono yellow, you can still play Resident Agent of Destruction in a mono yellow deck, and you can still play Son Goku hit Supreme Alliance in a mono blue deck, because you can still play Zamasu in either of those decks. So a 2-card combo stopping 3 attacks, even in monocolor, that is very good. Dark Power Black Mass Sand. Thankfully, we do have an anti-free cast card in this game, and it is Dark Power Black Mass Sand. Now, you'll see a lot of Vegeks lists main decking Crisis Crusher, and yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. I think Crisis Crusher is a bit of a degenerate card at this point. Like, the only time people use Crisis Crusher is when they're trying to remove a 1-drop that hinders their strategy, and I don't necessarily think that's a great thing, because free casting like in Vegeks is pretty degenerate. But of course they won't always have the Crisis Crusher, and if they do have the Crisis Crusher, actually it does actually slow their deck down a bit, because they can't use the Overwhelm Trunks that turn because it costs 1 energy. A lot of times Overwhelm Trunks for 1 bring out the Power Booster Vegeta. That's their best turn 1 play. So if you play BMS and they go Crisis Crusher, you've slowed them down 1 turn, and that could actually sometimes be what you need as the defender of Vegeks, the opponent. That sometimes can be what you need to get to that next stage of the game, so you can actually turn the game around in your favor and win. So keeping that in mind, Dark Power Black Mass Sand is a great card to answer their strategy, as well as a card that can help you stall into the later parts of the game. So definitely want to keep that in mind. Now, these 2 cards I'm not definitely in love with, but they're pretty interesting in terms of countering Vegeks, because A lot of times, like I said before, they're milling cards, and their mills kind of dictate what they can do with their turn. So, you know, if they mill the Vegeta, Trunks, or Supreme Kai, they're free playing them, but they also want to mill the Universe 3 cards. Now, these cards right here, they shuffle cards from Veg X drop area back into their deck. Toa is interesting because it is a 1 energy kind of cheap option. Counterplay, play it, draw 1, then shuffle 1 battle card in your opponent's battle drop area to their deck. Sorry, it shuffles any card back. So shuffle any card back. You can shuffle a U3 guy. You can shuffle any of their graveyard synergies. Very, very good. Burning Impact, I would like it a lot more if it actually did negate an attack. And I think negating an attack and shuffling 2 cards back would have been perfectly fine. But for some reason, doesn't actually stop the attack, but it does shuffle 2 battle cards. So you can think of it in a way that it is stopping 2 attacks because you're getting rid of 2 Universe 3 guys ideally, or maybe getting rid of a Sand Instincts, things like that. And you can use it for free if you have a Unison in play. So keeping that in mind, you can play your Unison on 2, have this up for free on your opponent's turn. That is actually very, very good. So moving on, there are 2 leaders that pretty much hard counter Vegeks. Now, I don't want to say if you want to beat Vegeks, you have to play these leaders, but these leaders do kind of make the Vegeks matchup kind of easy mode. So the Topo leader, relatively new. When this card attacks, draw 1. If you have a yellow Unison card in play with a specified cost of 2, when a player plays a battle card, that player can't play battle cards for the turn. So again, you're not really interacting with the Unison or the leader, but you are limiting the amount of board spam they have to 1 guy per turn. Hachiyak doesn't really limit the amount of board spam, but they can only attack with 1 guy per turn, and they don't really play big cost guys, so they don't really have a way to get around this. They do have the Unison, of course. The Unison is very pesky. It gets around a lot of stuff we talked about, but the more defense you have, the better. There's no perfect defensive card to Vegeks, but there are good options. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. That's going to wrap up today's strategy series episode. Hope this helps you out. Hope you find this helpful. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys next time.